Okay, you want to tell me about this dinosaur documentary you've been watching?
Dude, it's actually incredible. Done by Steven Spielberg on Netflix.
Like
Definitely check it out.
the Steven Spielberg, right? Like there's no
The
other.
Steven Spielberg,
Okay,
not like a random Steven
Not a
Spielberg.
rando Steven Spielberg. Okay.
Really cool because it's pre-dinosaur. It's like 150 million years prior to like the actual dinosaur extinction. So it's like
Okay.
the evolution of how the dinosaurs even came about. There were other creatures that actually ruled the earth. The environment was different. Dinosaurs back then were really small.
Mm-hmm.
And then, eventually like things happened because the earth has gone through, major extinction events, right? And so
Sure.
other species have been wiped out or destroyed, and that gave the rise to dinosaurs. And of course, as we know, the dinosaurs also went extinct.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's actually, yeah, it's really fascinating.
That's kind of cool. I don't really recall watching a lot of dinosaur stuff recently, but I feel like I want to get back into it, especially if it's done well and if it's like a documentary series, because I do enjoy a good documentary. So if it is set up that way, I would be interested in watching it.
Yeah, no, definitely recommend. Just because you don't see too many things pre-dinosaur. You see dinosaur stuff.
Right.
The pre-dinosaur stuff. I don't think has actually been sort of explored as much.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if what do you call it? Why am I losing the wording here? But like how there's like different phases of dinosaurs. Like there was like different periods of dinosaurs. Like there was everyone knows like the Jurassic period, right? Because the whole movie was made out of it. You're saying before all of these periods of time, so before the Jurassic period, before any of that stuff. This is before any walking animals are on the planet, and it's just like plant ecosystem. Is that what it ends up being?
Yeah, I mean plant ecosystem, the animals and species that kind of resemble dinosaurs, but
Oh,
more
okay.
different, like more, I don't know, weird, archaic, awkward looking.
And this is like immediately after Big Bang, or the theory of the
No, no,
Big
no,
Bang,
no,
or like
no,
way
no.
after
Big
that.
Bang is like 4 billion years. This is
Okay.
like, dinosaurs went extinct. Let's just say 65 million years ago. We're talking about pre-dinosaur. These creatures that they're talking about is more
Mm.
like 200 million years ago.
Well, that just goes to show you how
Yeah.
much I
So
know
like,
about the.
yeah, yeah. I think it's called like the uh, not Paleolithic. I forgot what era it was. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna start watching that, but we can go ahead and get started with this pod. In the meantime, we can talk about if there's gonna be another dinosaur period in the future,
I mean,
but in a different way.
I feel like the topic we're going to discuss somewhat connects to this because that entire series was made, I think, by pretty much AI.
Okay. All right, then let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, welcome to another Debatable at Best podcast where we talk about everything from global markets, the economy, life, and bad coffee. But don't expect answers here, just perspective. I am one of your hosts, Ray.
My name is Amol, and today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, AI.
Yay.
Boo! They're taking our jobs.
There's clearly two schools of thought here.
Definitely. I feel like that's going to make a good conversation because I'm pretty sure everyone is thinking this way. Some
Yeah.
people are thinking that AI is supercharging their workflows and I'm building so much cool shit, and other people are either paranoid about losing their jobs, or maybe they lost their jobs, or they're just uncertain about the future.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to cover on this front. Some things, people have already been talking about and already discussing, but I feel like we're gonna touch on a few other topics. But how do you want to kick this off? Do you want to start talking about like the infancy of the AI age, maybe like 5 years ago, and then kind of go from there. Because I feel like it's important to the viewers to actually just, or listeners to actually understand how we actually got here. The
Man,
reason why I bring this up is my first instant thought, and we talked about this off the show, but was the Will Smith spaghetti.
yeah, that felt like that feels like generations ago, but it was only like 3 years ago.
No way, that was 3 years ago.
I'm pretty sure. I think that was sometime like early 2023 or maybe at the latest 2022, late
Okay,
2022.
okay, gotcha.
But I think, yeah. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's this, sort of infamous Will Smith, AI generated video of him eating spaghetti or something. It's just like the most 5-year-old crayon drawed bullshit.
It's so bad.
It,
It's
it
so bad.
it was really bad. And sort of the other tools that were coming out back then almost seem primitive to what we have today. The ChatGPT back then was more like distillation of documents and summary, and maybe it did like here and there, like, oh, here's medical report, and can you give me like insight, that kind of stuff. But
Right, I think
now,
I think DeepMind was playing around with getting its AI to win a game of Pong.
yeah. So, obviously, like, fast forward, the iterations of all these, like, LLM models, so many different models have done so many incredible things. And that's kind of going to be our conversation today. Where we started was really just, the LLM models and AI companies just learning how to crawl. And now what it seems like is like they're fucking supersonic jets now.
Yeah, I like to call the spaghetti thing, our reference to the spaghetti thing, as Will I Am slop.
Well, that's pretty good.
That's what I'm gonna coin it. I don't know if it's ever gonna take off, but that's what I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I think we've come a long way from that. I think we've come a long way from DeepMind allowing AI to play Pong, right? What I want to initially start talking about maybe is like what what was the initial thought process behind creating any of these AI tools, right? So like everyone knows the conception of the OpenAI story, right? Like the name was created because they're like, this is going to be an open version of artificial intelligence, and the product is to have artificial general intelligence that's useful for everybody and for it to be open, right? Elon Musk, one of the original brainchilds of the entire operation, but the whole purpose of this was to effectively do one thing really well, which was distill the world's knowledge in a very user-friendly way that whatever you ask of it, it could instantly give you a very, very accurate answer. A lot of people will look back on this and be like, well, wasn't that Google's mission in its search engine, right? Like you tell it what to search, and its whole mission is to distill the world's information. I would say, yeah, it was, but I mean, that's a fair argument to say yes, but what AGI does differently is effectively like you walking into a library, opening up a book on a specific topic that you want, and finding the exact answer to your question. That's the difference, right?
Yeah, completely agree. I think the library book analogy is, pretty apt because the answers for almost everything in the world are really at our fingertips now. It's kind of never
Yeah.
been this easy. Like search, I think it now just feels like such a inferior product to what AI is.
Right. I think part of it, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think part of it is because you're relying on a technology to aggregate the data, show you top hits based on what your keywords are. And then you still have to read through that information to see if that's actually what you need without it just being like, the answer is this,
Yeah.
right? Instead of just something just giving you, like, if I approach someone who's in a specific domain about a question, they're answering like in the snap of a second because that's all they deal with, right? So imagine just having AGI being like hundreds and thousands of people who are perfect and know everything and are experts in their domain, and you ask them a question and you get an accurate response back. That's the difference.
Yeah. And I think the linear path of this technological trend that we're on kind of makes sense of AI, mm, you know, obviously being here now, which is that if you look at like, history, you had so many different data points and research and all this stuff that sat in siloed areas of the internet, maybe even in books or on paper. Then that got
Yeah.
digitized and then it sat on the internet. Then that got crawled on the internet by search. And again, still sitting in siloed areas. But now the AI models are basically distilling all that, having access to all this information all over the world, you know, um, almost instantaneously. And I think the next eventual step, what I see from that is um, the applications, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, I remember reading recently this kid from Australia coming up with like a cure for cancer thing for his dog, and um all he did was just use AI tools. He just fucking said, "Here's what my dog is dealing with. What are some things that like I could put together to make my dog, feel better?" And he apparently just cured whatever the heck his dog had. I don't know how
Right.
true this is, but like it was all over the internet, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So these applications, like, you can kind of, think through a series of steps of how this impacts so many different industries. A kid basically concocting like a fucking pharmaceutical, elixir to cure his dog's cancer. Something that, let's just say, like a Eli Lilly or Dow Pharmacy has not been able to do. This dude did it in like a weekend.
Yeah. And also there's that guy who apparently only used AI agents to sell his house. There's people who only use AI agents to, like, hey, I wanted to work on this task. I didn't know how to do it. They just fed it in and just got some type of good result from it. There's like people that end up using this technology to find productive ways to make an end meet, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where this whole AGI, artificial intelligence thing evolved. It evolved from let's distill the world's information to how do we make people, well, maybe this is not the goal, but this is what it seems like to me. How do we make individual people more efficient and execute tasks better? That's what it's become now,
Definitely.
right? Would you agree?
Yeah. No, I think definitely. I think for the purposes of this conversation, I think we have to define to our audience, um from like the smaller level of not only like how we've discussed how far AI has come, but how do the average, how does it like the average person use AI? How
Yeah.
do somewhat, like people who are regularly using AI use it?
Mm-hmm.
What are the
Mm-hmm.
tools that they use? And then I think we can define like how do power users use it? How do builders use it? I think that'll be really good to frame this conversation. I mean,
Okay. So let's break that down then. Let's talk about your quote unquote average user of AI.
I think the average user of AI right now is using it in the same way that they use search, but obviously with, recognizing that this is clearly more intelligent. And what that means is, my dad, for example, is using AI, really at sort of the outskirts of, hey, Zillow, tell me in this area what is the average price of homes in this particular neighborhood and how many homes got sold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a very sort of targeted question to an AI, right? Prior to that, search, like we said, was more primitive. You would have to go on Zillow, the website, or figure out like through 5 or 10 different resources, MLS listings, etc. What was the average price? What kind of like upgrades did so and so homes have? What's the average square footage?
Mm.
Is
Yeah.
crime going up or down? Did a hurricane ravage this area? That stuff is like almost conversational now, at the AI level for, again, the layman.
Sure. Yeah.
and that's pretty damn good.
So to distill that piece of information, you're saying an average user is basically trying to get hyper niche data as accurately as possible.
100%. Yeah. I mean, even if you're going shopping for like, say, a microphone, instead of you being on your phone and looking through like Best Buy and Amazon,
Yeah.
you can just say to ChatGPT, hey, I live in so and so area. I want my budget is $100. What's like the best kind of microphone that I could use for podcasting purposes?
Right. Right.
That's like layered questions, right?
Yeah.
Where do I live? Here's my budget. Here are my needs for this microphone. All three answered in one go. And something like a ChatGPT can just conversationally just tell you, hey, go to this Best Buy on so and so exit, find this brand microphone. This will serve all your needs.
Right.
Done.
Right.
It's like having an assistant in your pocket.
Yeah, and I would also argue the average user is also using this for academic work too.
Oh,
right?
yeah, definitely.
So like, hey, I need help with certain topics that I'm not fully understanding, or I need help with completing this assignment that I'm not fully understanding. And I feel like a lot of people are using it for these I need to make my ends meet kind of tasks, right? Like, I know when I first started using it as an average user, I first learned about ChatGPT, I just started asking it like really, really stupid questions. Like, like, hey, I have, X, these are the stupid questions I asked. I just wanted to test it. Like, I'd ask it like very basic math questions, like, Tommy has 10 apples, but if he already ate 2 apples, how many apples does he have left? And just kind of like see what kind of answers it give me. And then I started like asking it more serious questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, what I did recently was, and I would argue this is an average application, is in the state of Texas, you can choose any electricity provider, right? There's multiple electricity providers that can provide electricity to your address. And there's a lot of companies out there that do this, and they offer 3-month contracts, 6-month contracts, all the way up to locking you in for at least 3 years, right? And so the task that I always run is at the end of like my contract period, I have to go in and try and find the best, least expensive option for electricity for my home, right? And I have to do this exercise at the end of every contract term. And the way I got around that before was I created an Excel chart that had all the formulas in it, so I could just plug this information in, and it would try to give me an idea of what my power usage is based on, or what my bill could be based on my power usage. And I used to do that, and it used to take quite a bit of time. But now what I'm doing is I'm going into Claude, I'm taking a snapshot of the EFL, it's called the energy fact label, which every contract comes with, to show you like what the energy price is per kilowatt hour, what the delivery charges are, and any other charges associated with it. And if you like sign up for a plan that has free electricity at night, it takes all that stuff into account and gives you like almost like a nutrition label, but for your energy company. All I did was take screenshots of multiple different ones that I thought were good, right? Because I did an initial filter on the website to show me the best plans, least expensive plans per kilowatt hour. Then I took the top 5, I took screenshots of all their EFLs, put them all into Claude, and I said, okay, find me the least expensive plan based on my usage from last year. And it was just like, okay, here's plan A through F. These are all the plans. A is what you already have. Everything else is in comparison. XYZ plan, 36-month contract, is going to be the best plan for you. And it was just like, this is how much you'd be saving based on your current plan.
Yeah.
And it was just done. I like made one prompt with a couple of screenshots, and now I'm able to find the best electricity plan.
This is a really good example of like how even so the example I gave of my dad, and other people that we have in our family and friend circle, the eventual evolution of people who want to push the boundaries of AI and figure out like what its capabilities are, this is like the eventual path, right? If you are saying that, hey, I want to ask questions about Zillow and home prices around me and stuff, that's very basic. But the eventual next question is, well, um, what else can you do for me in regards to, selling a home, right? How much can
Right.
you help me? I think the example that you described, though it's still like more sourcing information,
Mm-hmm.
this is like I am finding that people in my network who are AI curious, that's the next step that they take. They start dumping, documents and information and start, having it ingest and give you more sort of distilled outlook on things, maybe actionable items that you're looking for. Because you're obviously looking for a specific answer, right? You're saying like, well, what's, the cheapest utility thing that plan I could pick based on my usage. And I think there's going to be many use cases like that. Even, for example, for picking insurance, I did the same thing. I just started dumping entire. No one's got time to read 60 pages of documents of health insurance
Yeah.
plans.
Exactly.
So all we
Exactly.
did was we just stated like, here's our needs, here's what we need the health insurance for, here's how old we are, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Dump it all in there and just have it, present. What are my options? Like, what are my best options?
Right.
You know, I
Right.
I think aside from that, like I want to for our users put numbers to this too because I think that helps. I think the first case we described, let's just say like it's like level 1, right?
Okay.
Which is the basic user. The basic user that wants to just converse or type into ChatGPT to get the basic answers back.
Like a
And that,
graduate of a Google search.
yeah,
It would be like a
exactly. Like
level one AGI user.
yeah, a level 1 AI user. And I think those plans, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or even Claude, they range from free to effectively 10, $20, right? I think even the free works pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think globally, I want to also say that there's likely maybe 1 billion to maybe like 1.2, 1.4 billion people who are likely using these AI tools in the way that we just described,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
next step, I think, is where it gets a little bit trickier. And this is, I think, that level 2 that you and I were talking about is recognizing that, this thing is capable of maybe doing a little bit more, maybe building me a website, maybe building me a document, building me a PowerPoint. Um, like, what other things am I missing here?
Yeah, I would say I think you're on the right track. I think a level one would be simple, kind of basic Q&A type things like, hey, I graduated from a Google search. I want to ask it a question and I want to receive a response. You're just double checking your knowledge base or you're trying to just get a little bit of information. I would say that is just a level one thing. I think the level two that you'd be talking about, and I think there's maybe three, possibly four levels to this, but the level two would be, hey, I need to do a profound amount of work, or I need to do research, or I need to, you know, further expand something that I already know, or adapt a new skill or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed you information. I want this AGI to distill that information and return something back to me that I could potentially use. For example, like I'm going to throw a bunch of data at you. I want you to analyze everything and I want you to send that back to me and give me all of the information I need. Great example of this is, let's say, like a financial analyst needs to do some analysis work, or a data builder needs to do some data work, or, it can be anything simple from like, I need to aggregate all of the housing that's ever been sold and give you like a median price, to, hey, I just need to figure out a best way to analyze this financial data and make better decisions, right? That's, I think, is level two. Level three, and I feel like this is the step that we're going into right now, is autonomously having agents do your work for you,
Yeah.
right? What do I mean by that? Hey,
Wait. Hang on. Actually, I want to go back because the level 2, I think we can also still put numbers to that.
okay.
So we talked about level 1 being a billion users, quite possibly, right? Greater than a billion. I mean, I know OpenAI themselves, they said they have 800 million weekly active users. I would
Yeah.
imagine that all AI tools across the world put together probably equate to like billion
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
So the level 2, I think, probably could still get away with free plan, but what do you think? Probably like, more of like $10, $20 plans.
I think you're starting to get into those mid-tier plans where, like, for example, you're paying for the next level up on OpenAI, or you're paying for a plus plan on Claude,
Yeah.
or you're just starting to get into the low levels of Gemini use. Like, you need that extra tokenization and capability to do all of your research work for you in a sense.
Completely agree. And I think the underlying thing of the difference between the L1 and L2 is that the level 1 is very non-prompt heavy usage.
Right.
Level 2, as you start moving up, you're starting to, like you said, using more tokens, which effectively means talking more to the thing, and that means like more and more prompt engineering as it's framed.
Prompt engineering and overall, like, hey, I need to get a large task done that I need your help with, so that you can inform me on how I can push forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the level 2 is good for a large majority of people. Like, of the, let's just say, a billion users that use level 1, I would probably say the people who are using level 2 is probably closer to like maybe 10 to 20% of that.
I agree.
People on paid plans. So let's just say like that's 200 million people across the world.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably less, I want to say. But let's just say like, it's
We can be conservative with our estimates. So,
yeah. Like, I think let's just say 100 million people, because I think there's 100 million people probably paying across the world for some advanced plans, or they're at least using it more advanced.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Advanced tasks. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we get into the level 3. Now I want you to sort of explain what you think level 3 is, the step ahead.
Sure. So, like we mentioned, level 2, you give it information and it spits you back like anything that you need. I think
you mean like detailed like documents and presentations and stuff.
Research documents. I need help with an article I'm writing, whatever it is. Like, you're getting this information spit out based on what you give it.
Yes.
But I think the level 3 is going to be, I have 5 AI employees that do all of my work for me, right? Like, I have a marketing guy, I have a sales guy, I have someone who's just constantly looking at my inbox and sorting my information, and then I have 2 other guys that are doing whatever the hell I tell it to do. Like, I want it to read my Slack messages and I want it to give me a summary every time as a text on my phone. Like, at this point, you've gotten advanced to the point where you're having the AI agents autonomously work for you and you give it tasks. They're effectively your employees at this point that you are paying for. That, I think, is a level 3, almost what I'd call a power user, where you're deploying agents to accomplish a specific redundant or productivity task that is freeing up effectively your time.
See, I'm actually thinking that there is likely a separation in this level 3, because there's like a clear distinction of a power user who is going to be using AI for specific like niche roles or niche domains.
Sure.
Yeah. And let's just say this person uses like all the AI tools for like, I know Nano Banana really well, and so all I do is, and Nano Banana, for those of you who don't know, it's basically like an image/video generation tool, right? This person is a creative, and all he does is just crank out, videos and content. Another person is maybe, I don't know, operational or finance focused. So he uses tools heavily to, curtail all the issues in his organization regarding operations and finance. But these are still people running tools for their org. And that's why I feel like...
No, I mean, they could run tools for themselves too.
Run tools for themselves. That's what I mean. But the real... and the reason I want to separate this is because... so we got to level 2 with 100 million people, okay? I think that of the 100 million people, this level 3 probably has, I don't know, maybe 50 million people, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
So that means that 50% of the 100 million people are getting into that stratosphere of really relying on these AI tools to do really, really like productive work.
Yeah.
And then what you were talking about, which is real agentic work, that's like on the fringes of the fringe, in my opinion. And I would imagine that of that 50 million that we just reached to level 3, um, I don't think that there's more than 5 million people across the world, maybe even less, who are using it to the degree that you and I are, utilizing agents, using agents to do the work completely on its own. Because, for example, the level 4 that we described, it still requires more te- like technological acumen, if you will, because
Hmm.
for me to set up my agent, I still had to create a virtual private server on DigitalOcean. I had to use 11 Labs to be able to, interpret voice commands and give voice commands. I had to make sure that it connected to certain parts of my Google Drive while ignoring other parts. I then had to create this bot that I made for our organization to communicate with my other employees completely standalone
Yeah.
on Telegram. This
Right.
is, I think, a different level that we're reaching where it has to be separated from like the level 3 and the level 4 user because
Well, I agree with that, but I guess let me clarify a little bit to further expand my explanation of why I still think that kind of ties into a level 3 kind of scenario. Because for me, a level 3, as I described, is an agent being deployed as an employee that's kind of doing work for you. I would actually still consider this something like even an OpenClaw would do, right? You're deploying an agent that's doing something for you. It's effectively working for you to reduce some type of task that is going to save you time. I feel like that's still a level 3 conversation. But a level 4 conversation is now you've gotten into the sphere of ultra heavy power users, and what they're doing is they're building features on top of AI to deploy. Now, what do I mean by that? A company like Cursor would be a great example of it. They're a level 4 AI user, right? Where you're building these agentic models, you're building frontier models, you're at the front lines of pushing AI boundaries, right?
definitely.
Like you would be someone who has built an AI skill that's deployable to other people. Like you're effectively, I would categorize these people as the people who are building what every other level under it is using. That's what I would consider like a level 4. Now, people can do this. There's a very few people in the world that can do this, is actually create these tools and actually properly utilize these tools. And there's a very small subsection of level 4 power users that are using these, let's just call it frontier models, right, to build actual shippable products, right? I would consider those level 4 users too, not to be confused with people that are building products using AI versus people that are actually building AI products, right? Not to be confused, but I feel like both of them would still reside in level 4 because they're building, shipping, building on top of, or whatever around the AI framework completely. Like, for example, if I ship a product tomorrow built completely using AI, I would consider myself a level 4 user because I'm using every available AI resource to build that. But I would also consider a company like Cursor to be a level 4 AI company because it's actually building an AI product that can be used by other people. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah. Completely agree. Um, I think for our listeners, we're now going to have to show them and illustrate how each of these different levels can be productive for them, right? I think the level 1, we probably explained that. First of all, if you are someone who's not using AI tools, I think you definitely should. I think you're missing out. It could make your life a whole lot productive, and you do not want to get left behind in technology, right? Um, I think the level 2 is where I think is going to be the sweet spot for a lot of people.
I think so too.
This sweet spot, I think, is you know, where you're going to probably get the maximum output for the maximum amount of people, because whether it's trying to distill contracts to, writing emails, to understanding rules and regulations and fixing stuff and building stuff, even like something basic as like, oh, how do I don't know, if you're like a plumber, you know, and you don't know how to do the accounting for your own company, but you have like, I don't know, like an Excel sheet where you document stuff. Like you're not like a technologically dumb person, but you're just like, I just have sloppy documents everywhere. Well, take those documents, dump it all into AI and just say, here's my business, here's my numbers, give me a better visual, organize this
Mm-hmm.
stuff for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that is like the sweet spot for a lot of people who are just even slightly technologically savvy.
Yeah. I want to bring up a interesting point, which is a little bit divergent from what you're talking about, but also still related in the wheelhouse. Have you recently heard of this term called AI washing?
No, I haven't.
So AI washing is apparently this interesting phenomenon that's popped up everywhere, where companies are basically saying that they are, or I guess I should say they're falsely claiming that they're using AI in their products or services to give an illusion that they're more innovative, or to attract investment, or I'm not saying this is what's happening, but potentially boost their stock prices. And it's somewhat of this deceptive marketing practice that's been going on recently, which I thought was an interesting point to think about, because this actually gives you an interesting viewpoint on the way society is thinking about AI. It's almost like, if you're not on the AI bandwagon, are you even there? Right? Like, think about that for a second. Like, if you're not showcasing as a company that you're using AI in some way, shape, or form, you are almost kind of discounted by a majority of Americans, or even the world. I could say that.
Very good point. Yeah.
Like, remember back in 2017, everything is like on the blockchain.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect parallel, right? Like, we often sort of over extrapolate some of these things of how useful they are. But, as someone who's been in the crypto industry for so long, I will say that I don't think crypto has ever been as useful as AI for like the average person. You know, um,
I would tend to agree, unless until there is a point where digital currency becomes the main currency. I would agree.
yeah. I mean, hey, that's the goal, right? We're hoping we get to that point, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think AI, just right now, it feels like we're on this, cusp of this explosion. Everybody using it for maximum productivity in their respective fields, and I'm seeing it like all around me. I don't know a single person, honestly, that doesn't use AI. That's like,
Really?
yeah. I mean, other like maybe my mom, but you
Okay.
know, or
Yeah, I
or
mean,
like
I wasn't gonna count your mom in the everyone you
yeah,
knew
but like most
category,
of
but
my like any young person like under the age of like 40s or 50s, I don't know anyone who's not using it.
that's
And
fair.
that's, yeah, like
Yeah.
my circle. It's just yeah, we're just definitely looking forward to the future of how this stuff is going to pan out. But obviously, like, I want to talk more about how things like this are going to be useful for other people, businesses, things that you and I are building.
Mm-hmm.
um uh I don't know, risks maybe,
Yeah.
right?
One offshoot about that, though, that I quickly want to touch on before we introduce some of the other topics is this whole notion of this AI slop that's going on, right?
Yes.
Because a byproduct of everyone jumping on the AI bandwagon tends to be there's a lot of quote unquote slop out there. I don't know actually where the term came from. I'm not necessarily that excited by it, but everyone's just calling it AI slop. And view and listeners, if you don't know what AI slop is, effectively products or services or something that's been launched by AI that kind of doesn't work extremely well. It works okay, but it wasn't kind of created with the utmost of care or attention, and it just ends up being like something just sloppy that you would just turn in as like homework to your teacher, right? So
Yeah.
like That's effectively what AI slop is. And like I mentioned, with everyone onboarding into the AI and becoming AI natives, you're eventually going to have AI slop.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think when you have breakout technologies like this, they're eventually going to get used in all sorts of ways that, first of all, you wouldn't think of, and some that are truly just useless, right? They're useless. They're waste of time, waste of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, people will figure out how to use it in negative ways to, I don't
Yeah.
know, farm engagement or, create a lot of like noise and
Yep.
mislead people, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that AI slop, part of it is AI spam,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because I think another thing that's interesting to think about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, is do you feel like people are slowly becoming AI sensitive?
AI sensitive in a sense that they're fearing it. Um,
I actually, yeah, I guess let me rephrase. AI sensitivity in the sense that, like, back in the day when email was becoming a new thing, right?
yes.
You would get an email and be like, oh, nice, someone's trying to contact me, but you really couldn't tell yet if the email was spam or not,
Right.
right? But eventually you end up building these let's just call it techniques of recognizing what is a spam email, what's not. And email providers start noticing it too, start creating spam folders, all that stuff. Do you feel like people are eventually going to become AI sensitive in the sense that there's a lot of spam out there and we just have to go through filtering all this stuff ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's hitting us in all directions, right? Whether you're on social media to emails, I see it in my own life quite a bit. Um, you know, yeah, phone calls. Um, like I think I was watching the news the other day, and there's like a commercial that popped in, and it was just a totally AI generated commercial. It's like something about like auto insurance or legal insurance, and it was just, yeah, it just like you could clearly see that is a AI generated advertisement.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I feel like AI generated things right off the bat are now, um people recognize it, first of all, and I think that they almost discount it much more, of like not as effective, or subtly just say, well, I don't really want to buy into this whatever thing this is, right?
Which is an interesting kind of chemistry to think about because on one front, AI companies are like, if we don't do AI related things, people aren't going to take us seriously. But on the other front, if you log on to a retailer's website and you get on their chat to try and figure out an issue and AI chatbot is talking to you, you fucking hate that.
Yes,
Right?
completely
So
agree.
like it's like I still think we're trying to find where the line is with the AI thing. Like, unless AI gets in, like those chatbots get so good to the point where they understand nuance, right? And we might get there. I understand that. But right now, I can tell from experience, some of that stuff just doesn't work well right now.
Agreed. There's a general paranoia, I think, people have now, aside from like the noise that AI creates. I think it's more of like the influence, the how pervasive it is, and yeah, I think it's bringing about a certain level of like anxiety, if you will, in
Yeah,
people,
I can see
and
that.
and
Yeah.
at the same time, the future has never looked so bright, yet at the same time so dark.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's an accurate way to look at it, I think.
People feel like they can be productive as ever, and then if you're not in tune with what AI products and tools are, you feel like your life is ending, or your job is going to get lost, or you're going to get laid off,
Well,
which is already happening.
right, which is exactly what I was going to get into. Like, you almost feel like you have to use AI tools in order to survive, but if you start using AI tools, you get laid off.
Yes, understood. No, completely agree. I mean, we saw the block job cuts in crypto. We're having like huge amount of job cuts. The finance industry is having job cuts. It's really across the board, right?
So let's do this. I want to do a quick exercise with you. So in terms of like AI contributing to like tech layoffs, job layoffs, because it's not only affecting tech, it's going to affect other industries too, like
every single industry.
Yeah, like finance, yeah,
sales,
doctors,
marketing, yeah,
all forms of business, right? Let's kind of put together this exercise where we kind of do like a bull bear case for AI taking over the economy in a sense. Do you want to split it? You want to do bull, I do bear, I do bull,
No.
you do bear, or do you want to let's just talk about both together?
Yeah, let's talk about both together.
Okay. So let's start with the bear case then.
Man, I think the bear case is that so many advancements in technology, and you're gonna need maybe 1/100th of the people, especially in like the next 5 to 10 years. You know, where did those other 99 people go? I don't know.
Right. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of the speed at which this could happen.
Like,
at least that's my theory.
Yeah,
I feel
like
like
I think we should sort of put numbers to it too, because I want to give like concrete examples. So
Sure.
a perfect example is a while back Goldman Sachs, they did this podcast about they have like, let's just say a M&A, mergers and acquisitions division of 100 people, and say those 100 people get paid I don't know, like that entire department, let's just say, is worth $20 million in salaries. Okay. Now what happens is that with all these AI tools, because it could sort of do a lot of like the research, the documentation, the forming of contracts, the forming of legal contracts, do background analysis, everything that you would need up the stack of what an M&A requires. You can effectively give 5, let's just say 10 power users of AI the job of the other 90. And so you've shrunk your $20 million budget, what you were paying this entire M&A team of Harvard graduates and, investment banker background and, people who are tenured in finance, to now just, I don't know, 10 people who are in their mid-30s who really, really know AI and they know the full stack of M&A. And that $20 million payroll is probably shrunk to, I don't know, $1 million.
80% of that.
Yeah, like easily, more than 80%, because you just need 10 top tier people, and $1 million versus 20, $19 million worth of savings and 90 people gone.
Right.
know?
And I would also argue that could be the same with like if we look further out along the horizon with people like physicians, right?
Correct.
You may not need as many physicians inside of a health system as you currently do, because effectively what you could do is you could have 2 to 3, the equivalent of nurse practitioners, doing all the heavy lifting. You could have AI doing most of the diagnostics, reading most of the tests and the labs and whatever, and interpreting those, right? And it's note-taking for you, it's scribing for you, it's inputting data into, a system like Epic for you, and like it's doing all of that manual work that doctors also spend a lot of time doing, because a lot of doctors that I know, they say a lot of their time is going towards a lot of these productivity tasks like notations and scribing and dictation and putting all the information into the system versus doing their clinical rotations, right? So you've effectively have AI replacing all of that. You have a decent number of nurse practitioners that cost, half the price of a full-on physician. What does that do to the medical field, right? Like, you'll still need surgeons, right? But you may also need less surgeons because now there's robotic surgeries and things that are happening now, right? You could have a doctor sitting in America performing surgery in Japan, right? It happens. It actually happens today.
Yeah.
right? So like you're effectively having this huge reduction in workforce, even on the healthcare front. You might not even have to have a lot of admin people anymore. You might not have to have these
Definitely
really
agree.
high paying positions.
Yeah, definitely agree on the admin front. And I like your point about nurse practitioners using, all the AI tools, especially like if you can sort of increase the amount of nurses that attend to patients, which, nurses are incredible. Like they spend a lot of time with patients and,
They do
try,
most of the work.
they
Let's be
do,
honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
they do most of the work. Um, and so now what this can sort of accelerate is your um knowledge reach of like every nurse basically having like a doctor in their pocket, and then
That's
it
available 24/7, by the
that's
way.
available
It doesn't
24/7.
need to be on call or
and
anything.
and the doctor, of course, you can have, let's just say, 1/5 of the doctors in any particular big hospital,
Yeah.
while at the same time you can have your AI chat GPT whatever in your pocket, and then
Yeah.
you can also accelerate like teledoc and telehealth services, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can basically have, I don't know, a doctor you could just quickly get on video call if things are really looking, I don't know, like urgent,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, the health and medicine field is going to be impacted severely. I don't think a lot of people realize this, but I feel like there's a lot of potential for disruption on that end. And I think that's the theme that we're trying to make clear here is that it doesn't really matter what of these white collar jobs you're looking at. There is a potential for a wave of disruption by reducing workforce completely.
Definitely.
Now, on the other hand, if you're talking about jobs, the blue collar jobs will survive, and I think up to a point,
Yes.
you know? So for right now, everyone, I think this is an established fact, believes that blue collar work is going to be protected to a certain amount. So, I just recently read about a guy who dropped out of school, dropped out of university, because he's just like, I'm just going to be an electrical engineer because I know this job isn't going to be taken by AI. And he's just like, I'm just future proofing myself in a very in a way that most people would think is backwards because of the stigma that's been installed in society.
That's so interesting.
Right? So like he's just like, I'm just gonna go back the other way and I'm just gonna do something more with my hands or, with machines or electrical engineering. So I'm gonna do that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But now that we've kind of explained a little bit of the bear, now let's talk about bull. Where do we think is gonna go from here?
Yeah, I mean, the bull case is that the sort of remaining few that are very sort of AI heavy users, yeah, I mean, they're gonna get so much done. I think if you are a AI heavy user, not only will you be more productive, but you can build things. You can build incredible things. As the technological playing field has been completely leveled for everybody across the world.
Yeah.
And so you have access to all these, the entire world's knowledge, tool set, building websites, to creating apps. You are effectively as strong as, I don't know, like a software developer at, Google who's been there for 10 years. Even if you have zero knowledge, you just need
Yeah,
to be
that's
able
fair
to,
to assume. Yeah.
prompt your way into building stuff.
Right. And learning prompt engineering is way easier than learning how to code.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
I agree with that. You can finish your point.
Yeah,
and then I'll-
I think the bull case is, for the people who are going to really like heavily get into AI and use the tools more, they're going to be the sort of super users, or let's just say, super productive humans,
Mhm.
right? And unfortunately, like those who are not using AI heavily, you're gonna be really sort of left behind.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with you on the bull case for that. I also feel like it's going to make a lot of positive strides for society as a whole. Right? I think you're going to start seeing incredible innovations. You're going to start seeing incredible advancements in whatever it is, right? It could be in technology. It could be in healthcare. It can be in markets. It can be in I don't know if this is really overstepping things, but maybe there are ways to find peace among nations with this stuff, right? Like, I don't want
I
to.
feel like AI is definitely gonna kill us all because they're like, these people cannot live peacefully amongst each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I'm more of a glass half full kind of person, so I tend to look at things that way. But like, I don't know, like, I feel like there's gonna be enormous pluses for society in terms of innovation and in terms of pushing boundaries on things and finding cures for diseases and stuff like that. Like, that's going to help push society in a great direction. The only thing that would kind of hinder that is humans themselves and humans being humans and egos coming in the way and that kind of stuff. But putting all that aside for the moment, I think the capacity for greater futures in terms of all different types of innovation is just a great bear case in and of itself. But it does beg the question, like, what do people kind of do with their time if, like, if the job aspect is always going to be affected because people still have to make a living, right? A lot of people would argue on the bull side, because that's what we're talking about, is that, well, when innovations and technologies have been introduced in the past, people have adapted their skills and learned something new and become productive in that way.
Yeah, I think this is the one point that I actually have a lot of disagreement. I don't think that AI is going to be like a net job creation tool. I think the internet was. I think AI is going to definitely allow people to be like entrepreneurs and stuff to build
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but being able to sort of, I think, like monetize and um have everybody be an entrepreneur. I don't know. I just don't see it, dude. I
I don't see everyone being an entrepreneur, whoever can ship a product either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way that you could tell me that as we spoke about, right? Even something like the Goldman Sachs job, um once you lose, let's just say that once like the momentum gets going in AI impacting job losses, so these smart people in Goldman Sachs, prestigious firm, M&A division, very prestigious, they lose their job. Okay, where are they going to go? They're not going to be like a cashier, right?
Right.
They might have to go into parts of society where it's like completely unknown to them. Maybe blue
Yeah.
collar.
Yeah.
It's obviously not going to be technology. It's definitely not going to be finance because they're going to see what is happening to finance every part of the stack. So if you're losing your job in M&A, you don't just like go into insurance part of finance because like the gauntlet is eventually coming down on your head, right? So it's either you accept the reality that you are effectively going to be a person who is not going to be able to establish themselves in finance as someone who has a job,
All right.
and then you just move on somewhere. And I don't know if that means like you just start vibe coding your way into things, but maybe people will be jobless. Maybe people will go into blue collar work,
Right.
but like 90 people, dude, like 90% of most organizations or most departments, that's a lot of people,
That is a lot of people. Yeah.
and it really is like it's not as uh like if we thought about, let's just say, cashiers, right, at Walmart. Okay, back in the day, let's just say you had 20 cashiers. Now you maybe have like 2. Okay, that took like years. With AI, I feel like that could be in 5 years and it could replace almost everybody, like 99% of people,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
I mean, at some point, Amazon was experimenting with their Go stores, right? Where you just walk in and just walk out and your card is charged. Like,
Right,
you don't have to
exactly.
do anything. Like, and I'm sure that concept is going to come back in some way and be like your next corner store. And that's going to be cemented into our future. Like, I think that's going to happen. I think it's also interesting that a lot of people right now are just like, well, how do we get ready for the future? And everyone just like learn anything and everything you can about AI and go do it. Or like, learn everything. And then the biggest potential out there that I keep hearing all the time is go to these small businesses and help them implement AI into their business and, you know, charge them for that service implementing AI. Because at the end of the day, you know how to clean your whole house, but you'd rather have someone come and clean it for you. Is kind of the concept, right?
True.
So like they're just like learn everything about AI, go out to small businesses, call around and see if you can help them implement AI into their businesses and make money that way. I only think that can go so far until that doesn't become a viable route anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's a very good short-term solution for the next couple years. But then after that, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe society has reached a point where it's like, so much peak productivity that only technology can solve technological problems.
Right.
Humans
Right.
just continuously keep getting kicked out of that loop. This is all, I mean, we explored this a little bit. I feel like in the COVID era, which is kind of like the stimmy checks, maybe,
Mm.
maybe it's going to be like UBI, universal, like basic income.
Yeah.
Um, I think I think it's an inevitable path because so many parts of organizations are eventually going to just not need people, and that money has to go back into society.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if it doesn't, then you're gonna have riots and revolutions, and they're just gonna start killing people who have money, especially the rich. No one wants that.
Maybe. Maybe. Like I mean, it's interesting to see even right now a lot of these like SaaS companies stocks dropping off because they're just like people who can't either afford their software or want something customized very particular to their way, or they're just not seeing growth because it's just easier to build something on your own if you know a little bit of AI. They're saying these SaaS companies just stock prices just take a hit and just fall off a cliff,
Yes.
Like, if it was me and you, we can just get up right now and be like, hey, I want to create a very customized CRM software for a business that I'm going to start tomorrow or a business that I'm currently running. And the entry to barrier cost is very little to nothing.
Yes.
Why would I go to a company like Salesforce and be like, I want your software? There are some people who like a ready out of the box solution they can just plug their things into and get it going. But I think what the interesting question is going to be moving forward is it worth the cost now?
Yeah. Question, probably the most important question, right? I don't know. I feel like this topic of AI is so vast because it makes you sort of have these almost like existential thoughts of like humanity.
Oh my God, bro. Like I have so many like philosophical thoughts that fill my head every once in a while now.
Yeah. I I've thought of like, as sort of a more broader philosophical point. Something that I think of is how does uh the advent of AI and the proliferation of AI change humans' view on like religions and gods? Like
Yeah.
if you sort of look at, fast forward 1,000 years, okay, think about like how pervasive technology is going to be. We're in 2030, or sorry, 2026, and
I was about to say,
we're gonna
bro.
be yeah. So in 3026, 1,000 years of AI evolution and robotics. Um, what does that like do to people's minds in terms of gods and religions? Maybe do they accept like AI religions or AI gods? Do they cling maybe closer to God and religions like the current primitive ones?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, kind of branching off of that kind of thought pattern, I had a question again, philosophically speaking, about something similar to that. But in the sense of like, how, what is the rate of decline of original thought become? Right? Like, we've had people in the past create and make these wonderful things and, is a great example of this is like music and dance, right? Like we created music and movement and dance and stuff like that, and we share it and explore it with other people, and they are able to put in their original thought and ideas into these arts and stuff like that, right? Where does the future of arts look like? Where does the future of original thought look like? It's been on the decline, but I feel like there's going to be like a steep drop off where people are just going to stop doing the arts in a sense, or there's going to be a very limited hyper, like a micro section of the world that's going to be considered like overly artsy and creative.
Yeah. I think original thought and authenticity will probably be the one thing that sort of prevails, at least for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Probably up until like, the next generation. After that, I don't really know. Um, art will still, human art will still sell, I think, probably much higher prices than AI generated art. Same thing with like music.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this story recently. There's this guy who created this artist, like an AI artist on Spotify, and then he had like other AI agents like sort of max listen to his own work that he created, which Spotify pays like off like listens. So he generated himself like $500,000 or whatever it was off of just creating a fake artist with fake listeners. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, it makes you think that, oh my gosh, you don't even need to know music.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like what does the rate of original thought and art and creativity look like? My theory on this whole thing is, yeah, for right now we're fine, but it's going to get to a point where maybe 10% of the population, if not less, is going to be completely be able to come up with completely original thought in that broader sense. I'm not saying that like you won't be able to come up with random imaginary characters and stuff on your own. I'm just saying to put it out there to create different genre of music, different type of dance, a completely original thing that we've never seen before.
Well, okay, so I think what we've spoken about in regards to the bull and bear case, right? I think we laid out the bear case. I can posit like a bull case to you. So I think the bull case could be that where our energy is going to be directed towards is going back to what humans originally sort of did, which is philosophizing, farming, I don't know, creating art, building communities, spending time going to the beach, writing books. I think maybe
Yeah.
I think maybe like society goes back that way, and you let AI and technology take care of like, and robotics take care of all the other meaningless or quote unquote meaningless stuff,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you say that, like in 200-300 years or whatever, 100 years even, I want to build a house that is, like one story and this kind of architecture, and you just have, you just give it money, and the AI starts procuring like resources, and it hires like a robotics company to start building your house, and it's working 24/7 because robots don't need to sleep, and within 7 days your house is built. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And while the house is being built, you were off, at the beach, having a good time with your, partner and friends and family. I don't know. That could be a pretty cool future too.
Yeah. No, I agree that could be plausible. I guess time will tell. I am, and I know I generally say, or I've said in this podcast at least once, is I'm generally a glass half full kind of guy. So I would like to think that. But I also know there's a lot of people out there, including, I mean, let's be honest, us and our offspring and younger people and Gen Zs and Gen Betas and all these people that are coming online soon that are so entrenched behind their screens and their phones, and they're flicking through videos so quickly that it's affecting their dopamine levels in their brain, that you would actually have to really, really try to get them to slow down.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
right? And this is a whole different conversation for another day. But the point I'm trying to make is we're so obsessed with quick hits, right? And quick highs, for lack of a better term, that it's going to take a lot for us to slow down to that level.
Yeah. I want to sort of leave our audience with a call to action, because this is a broad topic, but it's definitely important that we mapped out everything. If you guys want to know the tools that we use, things that we've built, definitely comment below. And if you need any help on how to go about utilizing AI for yourself, your business, also reach out because we can help.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to put a pin in it. So yeah, that's our podcast today. For today, if you think we missed something or you got another topic you want us to overanalyze next, hit the comments, get in touch with us somewhere, somehow, and we'll try to get to the best one. So until next time, folks, peace.
Thank you.
Put a crush out. Put a crush out. Put a crush out. Put a crush out.